waited too long. And I'm not going to make you wait any longer. Jarv and Don are here, and Don, just take it away with Geo.
All right, we're gonna keep this simple. Geo season's already over, even though the Week 8 game isn't put in the dock. He has played it, and he lost.
Ready.
And we're already started. So basically,
Just started.
Geo is the bottom team in the div right now. That one game, that one win you see on the record was apparently a forfeit win. So this is essentially a winless season. Sorry, Geo. The team is sick. I'm a big Dio Speed fan, big Terra Mence fan. Not a big Gliscor fan. I think that guy's cringe. But the team is pretty sick. I like the effort with Suicune. That guy's also awesome. But unfortunately, it just didn't really pan out. Since we last checked in with this team, he's lost every game. I know he was ready for a break. He was looking for a break. So when he comes back, he'll come back stronger in Crystal, and he'll show him why he was in Sunset in the first place. You got anything to add, Jarv?
No, just that like technically Geo's not 0-8. Technically Geo's 1-7. He's 0-5. Because he took 1 forfeit win and 2 forfeit losses, so it was a weird season.
Okay. I didn't know
it was losses. He went away. He played like a whole bunch of matches against me and Alabama before he went abroad. I don't know. Chuck it up to a loss. I do know that Geo was pretty burnt out last season.
Right.
So, figure out what do you need to come back in Crystal next season. Make it fun.
Yeah. And with that, I think we're good to move on to our number 13 team, which is the Cherry Hill Bellsprouts. Like Geo, Cherry Hill is, I think, locked for demotion at this point. I don't think the next team is able to lose badly enough to put them in demotion range, which means Cherry Hill is our other new Crystal admit. This team I played against, he played since we last checked in. He lost to Milton Keynes, beat Blasphemous. Let's be clear, that's sick. He's the only one that's done that. He's the only one that did the whole season, because Blasphemous is also wrapped up for the season. Cherry Hill's the only person who beat Blasphemous. That's an accomplishment. Now, the rest of the season didn't pan out so well. He made a lot of transactions. He dropped the Aloe, dropped the Wooch, dropped the Heatom and the Boulder, and picked up some more comfort picks. He was trying out the Jugulus for the second half of the season. The Teal Pawn he was having some decent success with. But while he was doing better in each game, it still wasn't. Oh, actually, sorry. The Week 8 game hasn't been updated on the dock. He did win that, like we just talked about with Geo. So he went 2-6. Not 1-7 like I was thinking, but he beat Blasphemous and he beat Geo, and basically, yeah, the second half of the season has been a lot more successful for him with the new team. The Grafii is new; he's been bringing that a couple times. What he's really been trying to do is like enable hyper offense with it. Against me, he brought double trick lagging tail to enable like the Jugulus and the Orgerpon Teal, but it didn't end up working out. But with these kinds of strategies, I know Cherry Hill wasn't like super vibing with the team, and I know he's definitely gonna be ready to take down Crystal a little bit, like because Cherry Hill even like historically in Sunset hasn't been a bad Sunset competitor. It was just an off season, I think. So a little bit of a vacation down in Crystal maybe will help him get back in the swing of things. What do you think, Jeff?
Yeah, a weird season. Took the Terra off the Iron Hands to put it on the Orgerpon Teal at one point. I personally am a fan of Terra Enam T, but not really so much without Terra. I think he had trouble managing the Terra Shell and the Terapagos. Typically every game, Cherry Hill would bring 1 or 2 Mons that he would play around them like well, but then there would be like 2 or 3 other ones where it's like, okay, I don't really know what you're doing with this here. I had so much fun prepping Leo with the Iron Jugulus. I almost drafted it in my NetDex league because I think that thing is actually like kind of terrifying. But yeah, also one thing to note, incredibly hard schedule. Mac,
True.
Alabama, Shadow, Milton, who I don't think has taken a loss, Blasphemous, Dawn, Like the only two teams that are really in the bottom half that Cherry Hill has played have been Leo and Geo. So I don't know. Go forward. I don't think this like sometimes you have bad seasons and it's one of those that like kind of shakes the confidence. I don't think that should be any kind of takeaway for Cherry Hill here.
For sure. With that, I guess we can move on to our number 12 team, the Syracuse Snorlaxes. This is the dedicated snow team in the division, and unfortunately, it hasn't been serving very well. Lost to Dreary Lane with the debut, the last that we saw of the beautiful Kuma team before the transactions went into effect. I'm just messing with the Dreary Lane, but anyways, lost to Blue, who's our basically number 2 team right now, I think. Then lost to Blasphemous, the number 1 team, and then has yet to play Mac, who's also a high placing team right now. So basically, like the back half of the schedule has been really hard, and the team just doesn't have the defensive profile to last against these strong teams. Like Glowking can only do so much, right? Like it's just one guy. So, like yeah, he is out of demotion at this point based on the Cherry Hill Geo games. Even if he loses 6-0, he'd be 2-6 minus 15, and Cherry Hill's at like 2-6 minus 18, I think, maybe 17. So, not really anything to worry about in that regard. So as long as he plays this game out, he's good to go. Come back next season stronger. I don't think he has any chance of playoffs at this point, though, unfortunately.
Like,
Jarv?
I think it was statistically the toughest schedule in terms of like opponent win-loss across all of the PBO. There's only one team that he played with a losing record this season, and that was the Birmingham Weasels, who went 0-3 before dropping, and that was his first week of the season. Shadow, Dawn, Dreary Lane, Alabama, Blasphemous, Mac, like this is brutal. We talk about the Sunset Thunderdome, how so many of the teams are kind of hovering around like 4-4, 5-3, because it's just such a tough div. And the total win-loss of Syracuse's opponents right now are 28-13. Like, just like an unlucky like gauntlet while playing with a team that he wasn't very comfortable with. I think he wanted to play more of like a balanced style. Didn't really make the changes that he could have when we got to the end of the transaction window. I think kind of by that point, like week 6, he was kind of like, all right, I'm probably out for playoffs. I'm just gonna ride it out with this team and then kind of go next. But he's already said he wants to go and play for another league before season 10 for PBO. So kind of another one like Cherry Hill. I don't think any kind of depression is not the wrong word, but feeling of like unsettled is kind of like, all right, we go next. Wasn't the right team, wasn't the right season. Kind of unlucky with a number of the games and a number of the scheduled matchups.
Yeah, for sure. I do want to say one more thing about this. I'm gonna spread some propaganda here. After this season, I've seen a lot of Kyurem around. People saying Kyurem is better than Baxcalibur. I gotta say, I'm at the point I don't buy it anymore. I don't think Kyurem is better than Bax. Kyurem's good, sure, but like if I'm looking for an Ice Dragon, I want to be able to spam Prio, click Dragon Dance, and then actually have moves to hit Steel types with. I don't know. I'm not on the Kyurem train anymore. I'm officially off.
You see, I was a Kyurem over Bax believer, but at least like with how strong the teams are that we have, just based on kind of the points, I think the speed tier for Kyurem really lets itself down.
Yeah, for sure.
It gets outsped by so many mons. Like my thinking is like you can run physical, you can run special, freeze dry is great, but it just, if you have a Kyurem, and especially on this team where like it almost needed to be like a choice scarfer in a lot of these matchups, it's just tough, just so tough with that speed tier. So I'm back on backs.
Anyways, with that little tangent out of the way, I think we move on to our number 11 team, the Pokerangers, aka Leo, who's also been having kind of an off season. The only wins so far are against Cherry Hill and the London Lunalas. Cherry Hill being one of the bottom-ranked teams, and the London Lunalas being a middle-of-the-pack team. It's the reigning team of the division. The Roaring Moon, I didn't even realize how much it snuck up the kill leaderboard. He's been loving that thing. And then meanwhile, the Terra Quavel is just not living up to expectations, I feel like. It's almost like the Quavel's been the breaker and the Moon has been the cleaner, which is like the opposite of what we predicted in the like preseason power rankings and stuff. This week, he's going against the Dreary Lane Darmanitans, who have taken, it was 3-1 since they joined.
Yeah.
So like it's definitely a winnable matchup, but he's gonna have to like try a little bit. Just can't take a win like that for granted. But I'm pretty sure he's out of playoffs, like guaranteed. That's correct, right?
Correct.
Like 100%, yeah.
100%.
So basically, this last week doesn't really matter that much to him. He's out of the motion range. He can't make playoffs. So yeah, at this point, he can play it out, try to win if he wants, but if not, he's just kind of gearing up for next season at this point. Or actually, I think he's not coming back next season. So looking to
I'll believe it when I see it.
if I'm him, I'm looking to close out this season of PBO with a bang if that's the case, and not just let it sputter out. So I'm predicting he's gonna try really hard to win this one, go 3-5. Yeah, what do you think, Drive?
I think you will agree with me that Leo is at his best when he's playing like kind of loose, bringing something weird, having like his own flair on the team. And I think if you look at his results for the first 5 weeks, tough, not really enjoying Mons, not really loving the game, and then he's had a real bounce back actually for the last 2 weeks, and I think that's partially because he was effectively knocked out of playoffs, which allowed him to like maybe play with more confidence. It's like, oh, I've got nothing to lose. Like there's only one Quaquavel across all of the divisions that's doing well in terms of its the KD that we would expect from a Terra Quack. You're right about the kind of inversion of the roles that we would have expected between the Quaquavel and Roaring Moon. If you watched any of Leo's games, you'll see him kind of like have this moment where he's like, okay, I need to all in right now on the Quaquavel. It almost swept through Big Dave's team in week 7. But it just, I think this team was a little bit set up like a little too HOE for Leo, or maybe he's been playing it that way, and it just has not been a point of comfort. I don't think he likes Sandy Shocks at all. Yeah, I would do the same thing, kind of repeating myself as I had with the last few teams, but chalk it up to a weird season, team that you don't really like. Close it out with a 2-0 for week 7, week 8. I fully expect. Leo says he's not coming back. We've got enough time. I expect to see him back, and I expect to see him to bring like some fun to the PBO, because that's one of my favorite things about Leo. I feel like when Leo's head is right, he's so fun to mock with. He's really fun to have in the community. And it's really entertaining to watch his games.
Alrighty, with that, we'll move on to our, number 10 team? Yeah, number 10 team, the Dreary Lane Darmanitans. Now,
your favorite?
My favorite. Now, I don't hold anything against the guy personally, obviously, right? I just give him a lot. I give him a lot of shit for some of the trades, which like maybe I should stop. Like preference is whatever, right? And like, hey, he's putting up the performance to back it up. You joined, was it week 4 or week 5? Week 4.
3.
Right? 3?
Week 3. Yeah.
Okay, so then at this point he's not 3-1, he's 3-2. But it's 3-1 with the new team. Yeah. Well, no, it'd be 2-2 with the new team. I think it might have been week 4.
No, I'm sorry. I have this wrong in my notes. He came in week 3, and then Little Rock gave him a forfeit.
Okay. And then week 4
was against Matt.
He made all the extra transactions. Okay, I'm remembering now. So yeah, week 4 was with the old team. Lost that game. Weeks 5 and 6 were with the new team. Won those 2 games, and then he recently played against Helsinki, who's a very good player, and lost that game 1-0, a very close game. And then this week he plays Leo. So realistically, it's like basically right now he's 2-2 on games played. It basically, this last game is basically going to determine whether or not he goes positive or negative for this season in terms of his own record, not like the whole team's record. Also, I think this is our first team to have a chance of making playoffs. You have more info on that, right, Jared?
So to make playoffs, Dreary Lane has to win against Leo. Like there's no scenario where he loses and he gets in. Then there need to be kind of two things to happen in order for Dreary Lane to get in. The first one was he needed Helsinki to lose. Helsinki lost. Spoiler. Which was just enormous for Dreary Lane's chances. I believe Dreary Lane is in if Big Dave loses to me, or if I lose big enough and Dreary Lane wins big enough so that he overtakes me. I don't. It's not like all in his hands, but I would say it's pretty firmly in his hands because of that Helsinki loss. That Helsinki loss to Alabama was pretty enormous, not just for Dreary Lane's playoff chances, but my own as well. So I think of all of the teams right now that are currently out of playoffs, Dreary Lane has the best chances.
Okay, I'm looking at the playoff scenarios you sent before because I didn't catch all of what you said, but it says here basically if he wins big, if he wins 3-0 or greater, then it doesn't really matter if you beat Big Dave if it's a close game. Like basically, if you lose 1-0 to Big Dave and Dreary Lane has a 3-0, he's in.
Right.
And if you lose 2-0 or more, Dreary Lane just needs a win. Or if Big Dave loses, he's just in. So like basically, that's like 3 or 4 different scenarios where Dreary Lane gets in. So like basically, it's not difficult. The only way he doesn't is if Jarv just gets blown out by Big Dave, which honestly I don't really see happening. But,
No. It's if I have a close loss to Big Dave and he has a close win to Leo, that's the scenario where he doesn't get in.
Okay. Gotcha.
Or he loses.
But yeah, this team's definitely one to keep an eye on for sure regarding playoffs. Not even like what based on what this team is doing. Like watch the Leo game for sure. Keep a close eye on that. But then you're also going to have to keep an eye on the Jar versus Big Dave game, the Philly v London Lunalas. But other than that, I'm not sure there's much else to say about this team until like some actual developments happen. Do you have anything else to say about this one?
Maybe not a great matchup against Leo.
Maybe not. Not
their
great water
Ursaluna
resists.
Yeah, their Ursaluna Bloodmoon looks good. And another team that kind of looks like Quavel can rip through. He beat me in week 6, I think, with a fat Sylveon. Not Terra Sylveon, so if you have a good steel type like Goldengo, probably got decent chances. I don't know if Leo would be favored in that matchup, but it's not.
Actually,
it's not like
I think he might be because like let's put it like this: Sylveon's got a lot of weight on its back. It is the Roaring Moon check. It is the Blood Moon check, but also it just gets stuffed by Golden Go. So like,
yeah, but I think that's pretty
massive things.
It's got a lot of things on its plate. I think just based on how they've been playing for the whole season, I think Muffin Man has been pretty solid, and I would expect him to win against Leo. But I would not be shocked at all to see Leo come out with this, like a 2-0 or a 3-0.
For sure. I think the moon looks really threatening. Unless there's like banded Mammo in the back at all times or something, but I don't know. Then there are things on each team or on Leo's team that can take advantage of a banded Mammo. So like basically it's gonna be a close one for sure.
It'll be fun.
Yeah, for sure. I think with that we'll move on to our number 9 team, the Milton Keynes Miladies. Where is this team? Here it is. This is Ryu. He has come in and hasn't dropped a game since he joined in week 5. This is like the The
Garden
new
City.
team that's been on fire. Huh?
Garden City, the new Garden City.
Oh yeah. He's got one game left. Does he have any chances to make it in playoffs at this
He
point?
does. So
It's if he like blows me out, right?
so there are basically two lines for Milton to get into playoffs, and the reason why there's so many different lines for them to get in is because they took over a team that had a really bad differential, and so they're 3-4, but with a -5, which puts them very far behind a number of other teams. The biggest thing they have to win against Don, but the biggest thing that they needed Helsinki or Big Dave to lose. Helsinki is lost, so already we've gotten a huge check mark on Milton's kind of how do I get into playoffs. There are two ways, kind of including the win, that Milton gets in. Either Dreary Lane loses to Leo, then Milton would be the prime beneficiary and would get in. Or Milton sweeps Don and I lose like a 4-0 to Big Dave, and then he would get in over me off of differential. So he's got to win, but another reason why that Dreary Lane Leo matchup is so big is because it directly affects Milton's chances of getting in. Again, an undefeated team thus far for Ryu.
I think overall Ryu has come in and shown he's definitely a very skilled player. Definitely sunset material at the very least. Coming in with a team he didn't build, made one change, I think, just swapped a Terra, and has gone undefeated with it. And I know he's feeling confident going into this game with me. I think it's going to be a great game no matter what. I think I'm locked for playoffs at this point, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna just let him push me over, Because also if I do that, that means I'm letting down my boy Driver. I'm making his chances harder, and I can't do that. So basically, that's another key game to keep an eye on for playoff scenarios. I think probably compared to the other games we've talked about so far, it's probably the least likely to be actually impactful. But regardless, still something to keep an eye on for sure.
Scary team come playoffs if they get in.
For sure.
I was prepping against this team.
Top 4 is nasty.
Yeah, I was prepping for this team, and I kind of overloaded on preparing for the Terra Superior and the Zoroark, and they just didn't bring it. They brought Scarf lead Glamora and then Scarf Terra fighting Magnezone, which I didn't predict. So definitely someone who is confident steering a team when they get in battle, but also are going to bring in. They're going to identify, okay, here's what my win conditions could be, or here are the speed tiers that I need. I don't know. They might be, if they get in, they might be the last team picked. Because
for sure, I would expect
dangerous.
that. This is not a team you want to prep against. Like, sure, there are some offbeat picks like Volcarona, Hisui, Gudra, and Magnezone. And then stuff like basically a lot of these guys are offbeat picks that intuitively are good Pokemon, but they don't naturally fit on like a standard team. But Ryu's making them work really well. So overall, I wouldn't be surprised to see this team make playoffs. If it does, it would make me a little sad because that means bad things happen to me along the way. But it doesn't mean I would also be scared to ever have to fight this team again in playoffs.
I think if Ryu gets in, it means not only did he beat you, but you might get stuck having to play him first round.
Right, exactly, and that would be awful. I don't know. I feel like there might be some people that would choose me as the matchup, like Blasphemous might. Although honestly, I think that might be a mistake because our game, we'll get there. But anyways. Milton, Keynes, Ladies, it's a game to look out for. I think we're just kind of repeating ourselves at this point. Let's move on to our number 8 team, which is the London Lunalas, Big Dave. We've been talking about this team all power rankings. This game is probably the most important one remaining. It's going to determine playoffs. The Rain team, or I guess hybrid Rain Webs team, it hasn't been doing as well as it was at the start of the season. It's 3-4. Got 6-0'd by Shadow. 6-0'd Shadow. My mistake. I think we talked about that one already, actually, in the last power rankings. Shadow got a bit lost in the sauce with the Lucha. Then week 6 played me. He didn't play terribly, but at the same time, like, how I feel like it's really hard for a Rain team to beat Meowscarada, D-Knight, and then like Terra Mew. Like, I think it was a rough matchup, but like there were definitely some avenues he could have taken to win. Like he benched the Raging Bolt, which I think was really weird. The Rabombi was Specs, I think, which I also thought was weird. He kind of threw his Torn away. So like if I end up playing this team again in playoffs, it'll definitely be an interesting rematch. But basically, let's take a look at the. I gotta find the playoff scenarios again.
It's
Basically,
if wins or he's not.
It's winning in. It's winning in for Big Dave here. So yeah, I feel like there's not that much else to say. Like, I guess the back half of his schedule has been pretty rough. Like playing Blue into Shadow, into me, into Leo, into Joe. Like the easiest game of that is Leo. We all know his team is like nasty. So that's like, even though he placed low, I don't think it means that much. Like we know the guy's like a good player and the team is good. And then he plays Jarv this week, and I know Jarv's been prepping really hard for that match. I helped him prep a lot for that matchup. But what do you think about this, Jarv? This is your game. This is your moment.
I rigged it that way too.
Yeah. Kind of fell apart against Leo. I think we were in the booth, and there's a kind of a clear situation where he could Terra the Ursaluna and click Earthquake or Headlong, and he probably would have won on the spot, and decides to switch out. Always the challenge, I think, when you have two strong Terra captains in Ursaluna and Barraskewda, and he has Therachaudon as well, but knowing which one to Terra and when, because if you rip it too early, then what does that expose you to on the back end? I know that he's kind of frustrated right now. I think one of the things that stuck with me at the beginning was he had such a clear sense of identity where he knew he wanted to run this Webb's Ursaluna / Rain hybrid. And he's kind of continued to evolve it with the Terra Barraskewda pickup. He's not feeling too hot right now, I don't think. Has had a tough schedule, but I think just based on how their seasons have gone, we would have expected him to beat Leo. There is a scenario where he loses, but he still makes playoffs. That would require Dreary Lane and Milton to lose as well. But I think the most simple route is obviously just beat Jarv and get in. He's got the Pelipper now, so anything is possible.
No more stupid Rain Frog.
I just wanted him to bring it once, and he refused.
Hey, forcing him to draft it is enough.
It was enough. It was a good moment.
All right. I think with that, we're going to move on to our number 7 team, the Helsinki Jellicents. Now, he came in week 4, right? Week 4, question mark? Yeah. Because playing me was his first week back.
Right.
Yeah. And he took over for Birmingham, who went 0-3. That's right.
Yeah.
Now, if you look at the schedule right here that's up here, it says he's undefeated. Well, that's technically true. For the first few weeks, he already played his week 8 game and he lost to Blue, which honestly, I kind of think I didn't really watch the game, so I can't pass too much judgment. But on first glance, I would have expected him to win against Hard Sand because I feel like Donphan Fortress, like basically this team's fat is like, if I didn't know any better, I'd think it was tailor made to beat Sand. Like as much as I dog on Flame Orb Milo, it's probably really good in that matchup. Donphan Fortress is really hard for Excadrill to break, even with Terra. King Gambit's Prio is really good for a lot of stuff, and it can like Terra into a neutral typing and be fat in front of the physical attackers. Dragapult can change the weather. Basically, I just think it's and there's a Gyapdos in the sand, like that's terrifying. But I know the game was tough because like playing the game was annoying because the Showdown servers crashed while they were playing, so they had to recreate the game on another server, and that was frustrating. But they were both good sports about it, and Helsinki they were good about it. But he's not locked for playoffs at this point, right?
I think it's almost more likely that Helsinki is out What would need to happen is Big Dave would need to lose to me, and one of Dreary, Lane, and Milton would need to lose. I think, like, I believe I will still make playoffs if I lose. Assuming these other scenarios, but I would get in above Helsinki with a better differential on the 4-4 record.
Yeah.
So that loss was actually really bad for his chances.
For sure. I think that loss is like the most impactful loss probably of this season in terms of like standings, because that loss single-handedly gave Dreary Lane a chance, Milton Keynes a chance. It gave Helsinki a chance to drop out of playoffs, and then all of these little like subtle interactions we've been talking about these last few rankings are all because Helsinki lost to Blue Fusion, which is like kind of insane to think about how one well-placed placement can have that much of an effect on the standings. But I think that the crux of it is the low diff. Like when he took over, Birmingham had lost 0-4, 0-4, then 0-5, and then his wins have been pretty small. So that he's kind of just feeling the effects from that. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. You can go back in.
Soren, are you playing the Week 8 game in the background?
Yeah, it just finished, yeah.
So a couple weird things, like the Terra fighting Iron Moth, kind of having to switch it in and out on sand, on a spike.
Before you go on, another thing that happened during that game is that they had to play with timer on, and the server they were on, timer was on from the start, so they didn't have time to really.
That's right.
It wasn't like
because it was like a smogon tournament server.
Yeah,
it's default on.
So timer was defaulted on, and Helsinki almost lost the timer.
Helsinki, okay, I do remember from when I played him that guy's a thinker. He likes to take his time on his turns.
The Finnish phenom, yeah, but Jarv, yeah, was Milodig was not there. It was Terrifying Moth, Surf, Pull. You can go on.
Yeah, there are definitely like a few kind of weird things. I'm sure that I see he's going down to like 5 seconds several times in the chat log. So am I shocked that Alabama won? Not really, but super unlucky circumstances. Unfortunate. I don't know. I hope we see Helsinki again for next season, because very clearly a good player.
For sure. Very good player. Like this is another one of those players where it's like it's a lot like Ryu, Milton Keynes, where a lot of these guys are like unorthodox, or like they don't traditionally work together as often, but his play style just lends to having them work together so well. Like I think Fortress Dawnfan's a sick pairing. I like to see Terra Gambit. I think Dragapult supporting like Iron Moth and Gyarados is really good. Even though you wouldn't like see them together traditionally, I think it's a really sick team. But I think with that, we move on to our number 6 team, which is Philly. It's Jarv. All right.
Is this where I get my ribs
on this one? Yeah, go ahead and take over.
I was gonna go run and get my ribs now that we got to the juicy part.
Okay, we can do that. Jarv's gonna get his ribs. We got the juicy part of the rankings now. So
I'm out. I'll be back.
He's out. All right. Basically, since week 5, Jarv played Mac, who he beat pretty handily. He did get a roll with, it was like a mineral in the max roll with Volcanion Sludge Wave on a Hydrapple. So Hydrapple, like the biggest threat in the matchup, went down early, and then Jarv was able to like pilot that lead into a pretty commanding win. Honestly, I think the matchup was in his favor anyways. I mocked with him for a good bit with that game, and I was never even able to get close to winning. So I think, like, even though Mac's a good player, I think the matchup advantage was just too much to overcome. Week 6, lost to Dreary Lane. It was just a bit too much overcooking. Milton Keynes, Milton Keynes was the overcooked game, I think, and then Dreary Lane was the one where the Sylveon and the Haxorus were putting in work. Then this week, London Lunalas. This is like the game to keep an eye on. If Jarv is winning in, I think. I got 5.
Yeah, 5 wins will always get you in.
Okay. Jarv is winning in. So basically, he's just gotta beat Big Dave. And this team, low key, I'm not gonna spoil too much because I did help Jarv prep, right? But this team can be pretty anti-rain and anti-webs. So Big Dave he's gonna have to do some cooking to get past this stuff.
Yeah,
This
the
is a strong
Arbok
team,
is
this
coming to
matchup.
town. We're gonna get a win with the Arbok.
For sure. Like, okay, Arbok is like the most dominating mon in the matchup, and it's not even close.
Just
he
one
uses
win.
that. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I think past that, there's not a whole lot to talk about. I'll let you make some input on your own team. You got
Yeah,
this.
I probably I don't know if I'm coming in like into this matchup like the weakest I've been all season. Probably. I mean, I'm coming off 2 losses. I don't feel too bad about the Milton Keynes one. I vaguely remember the Dreary Lane one, but I think the way that you can understand this matchup is Big Dave and I have a rivalry that dates back to the start of the season when I stole his Pelipper and I memed him into taking a Politoed, and then we both kind of started off pretty hot, and now we're both coming in kind of feeling a little bit uncomfortable about how our season's been going or about our teams, and it either could be super scrappy or we could go into playoffs with like a ton more confidence. I don't know. I don't think either one of us would be kind of at the top of the list for who you would want to pick for a playoff matchup, but we definitely wouldn't be on the bottom. Like, I would actually say that the coaches that we've touched on kind of before this, the 2 or 3 coaches before, have all been playing or coaching their teams better than Big Dave and I. But they took over teams that had bad differentials or early losses from before they came in. So sucks for them. And I got a shot.
All right, I think with that, we're going to move on to our number 5 team. Is that right? Yeah. Number 5, the Lion City Leech Lives. I hate to put them this low compared to where they've been the rest of the season, but honestly, I think Shadow's been figured out. Before we say anything else about the team, though, big congratulations to the Hawlucha. It broke the kill record. Round of applause, everybody.
Yippee!
Hawlucha finally did it. It only took, what? It took
after week
4 weeks,
after
4 more weeks after week 3
yeah.
for it to get a single kill, but it happened. But basically,
the Blasphemous game has been played.
The Blasphemous game has been played. He did lose.
Hawlucha will end with 21 on the season.
Yes, it will end with
officially.
21. Which, so like basically the second half of the season, London Lunalas got 6-0'd. We talked about this. It got lost in the sauce against Mac. I don't remember how the game went. I think there were some hacks, if I remember correctly.
There was like 1 or 2 hacksy turns, but I prepped Mac for that game as revenge for the Hawlucha. And it felt like a matchup in Mac's favor. And I would say Shadow was lost in the sauce, but I think he has brought like this really fat variant of the team with like the Orthworm, the Tinglu, the Pecharunt. He brought it week, 3 against me, 4 against me, and has not brought it since. So I think there's also some of kind of resting on his laurels, gonna wait to bring out some of these things for playoffs.
Right.
I don't think Shadow's been figured out, just to give my own kind of 2 cents. But I do think kind of that early momentum and confidence and has kind of waned a little bit. His only win after, week 5 has been against Geo, who, is our bottom team. Struggled to kind of set up the Hawlucha in the ways that he wanted to, but I think he's just been getting too cute with it. I
agree. I think sometimes the Hawluchas have been overcooked. Like against Geo, like the set worked. He brought Banded Terra Flying, but he was just Power Herb, like Sky Attack Terra Flying with like Swords Dance. It would have gotten 6 kills. Like I think sometimes you just gotta pull the trigger with this guy and get him in and just blow shit up. Because like Hawlucha, even though it's only got 92 attack, it doesn't care when it's got like massively powerful stab moves, stab Terra, and +2, and it can always afford adamant. So the guy's just a lot stronger than people expect it to be, and it's really hard to prep for without a red card, but even that can be played around if you just click Swords Dance and then Oko it. So yeah, like basically, so like I don't think he's brought the same set on Hawlucha once. Like I think he's been a different set every week. And like when I say different, I don't just mean like, oh, he brought a different move, but he was still terrifying SD Acrons thing. And been a different cook every week. He's definitely used every single ability on Hawlucha. which is
What's the
strange
third one?
because-
Is it Mold Breaker?
Yeah, it's Mold Breaker. I am 99% sure he brought that.
He brought Limber Upper Hand against Syracuse.
Yeah, he brought Limber against Syracuse. I remember that one. I think he brought Mold Breaker against Geo because he was banded. But yeah, I think he's already locked into playoffs. He already played his games. There's not much else to say. I will say, I don't think this is a team that I would choose to play in playoffs. Like, even though there's no like definitive round one pick, like the closest thing is Bundle, I guess. But even then, that's not really a round one pick anymore. Even with that in mind, you can't prep for these guys. Tinglu Petch is like impossible to break. We know that. I think it's a little bit overrated, but it doesn't mean it's bad. Terra Halucha, I think, is just legitimately impossible to prep for reliably. Rillaboom is good support for everything. Cyclizar is there. Bundle's good. Terrachi's good. I mean, yeah. Do you have anything else to add?
Thank God I don't gotta play him again.
you say that now, but anything can happen in playoffs.
I mean, schedule maybe one strove. I'll do it again, man. I'll do it again.
Yeah, I gotta get to semis in order to play him, which is kind of makes me feel good. I think it's gonna be interesting to see where he gets picked. I could see him getting picked last. I could see him getting picked like second or third. I don't know. We haven't seen the Terra Reuniclus because he's been trying to play around that Halucha so much. I kind of think he's imagining the season as like the Terra Halucha like anime protagonist arc. So no matter what, he's bringing that thing in. It's going to be his win condition. But I think that's kind of one of the reasons why he's loved being down in Sunset, compared to kind of it was a bit of a slog for him in Stargazer last season. He had a team that he didn't love. He's having a lot of fun. We just came off the call with Mac, and Mac was kind of the same sentiment. It's a little like liberating to be in Sunset versus Stargazer because you can have a lot more fun with your sets, with your mons, with your teams. Not to say that Sunset hasn't been a bit of a bloodbath, especially the second half of the season. But
that's the Thunderdome.
It's the Thunderdome.
It comes with the territory. I did have a question about one thing. You said that you couldn't play him unless you make it to semis. Is that true? I don't think that's true.
No, it depends on who picks him, what's at the bracket, and yeah.
Right, because like basically Blue Fusion, like okay, Lion City could be the third seed if I lose and if Mac loses.
Yes.
Then Lion City a third seed. In which case he would get a choice. And assuming you're still in playoffs, I think he might choose you just based on the performance he had against you in the regular season.
Well, he and I have developed quite a relationship. I joined his other draft league that he mocks in. So I wouldn't be surprised if he picks me just purely out of
experience,
spite, love, some combination of the two.
But yes, like even though he's had a rough back half of the season, he still has a good chance at ending the season at third seed. It would take a bit of luck, like things that are out of his hands at this point. Like it would take me losing and it would take Mac losing. But the reason he's lower right now than the other people above him is because they haven't played yet, so they have a better chance of knocking him lower on the leaderboards, if that makes any sense. Plus, like the back half of his season has been a big struggle, so that did lower him a little bit. Maybe this is a little bit lower than he deserves, but still,
I think it's reasonable. You got 6-0'd by Big Dave.
He did get 6-0'd by Big Dave. But I think with that, we're going to move on to our number 4 team, Prophet of the Pantheon, Mad Mac. This team had some crazy changes since the last time we were here. Darkrai no longer sitting on the board. What's it doing on this team? I honestly couldn't tell you. I guess it can get you free turns with Palafin and Hydrapple. But basically, he dropped a lot of his offense. He dropped Thundy, Crocodile, Azelf, Smeargle, which facilitates offense, not that it's offensive itself. And he replaced it with Fat. We got Mandibuzz. We got Hippo, two of my certified goats. We got Deoxys Defense, who I think is really underexplored as a utility guy. We got Terra Snorlax, who I think is kind of whatever. And we got Terra Mungus, who I think is like cool, but you also have a Terra Hydrapple, so it should never Terra. I mean, yeah, I feel like Fat plus Palafin, I feel like surely has to be usable, but I am a little bit worried about redundancies in this team. I think Amoonguss and Hydrapple are like really similar guys, theoretically speaking. One sleeps, the other wins games on its own. I feel like one's more valuable than the other, but you need a grounded poison. I get it. I think Klefki and DOD are a little bit redundant. They do kind of similar things. One's better at spiking, I guess, but I don't know. Klefki's better at screens and T-Wave. Deoxys' defense is better at spiking, knocking off, and pivoting. Lay it on us, Jarv. What do you think of the fat team?
I hope you guys can't hear me. Just devouring this rack of grid.
No, you
can't. All right, thank God.
Don't worry.
Yeah, you just mocked with this team, man.
I've mocked a ton with Mac for the past couple weeks. And yeah, your only hazard clear as Defog Mandibuzz, not that great. If I'm imagining these teams as if like I play them for playoffs. If I play this team, I have my Volcanion, right? It just blocks the Palafin, and if you're able to shut down the Palafin or the Hydrapple just based on the composition of your team or with the right Terra, then it takes out a ton of the offensive firepower that this team can bring. I think hazards and status are really important for this team. So there's ways to play around it. I would say if there's a team in playoffs with like a Gliscor, they would match up really well against this team, like a Terra, Water, Gliscor. But you can totally find ways to kind of checkmate this because they're so reliant on kind of 2 mons and then passive damage.
For sure. I gotta say, if I'm playing this team, I'm telling you one move I'm bringing for sure. Big Taunt. If I click Taunt, bottom half of your roster, useless.
Yeah.
Mandibuzz Hippo, useless. Now you have 4 usable guys. And they're all like good. Heatran's like falling off a little bit. But even then, if I'm clicking Taunt into a Darkrai, now it can't Hypnosis me, and I don't give a shit about Darkrai anymore. Hydrapple can't plot on me. Palafin can't bulk up on me. Basically, if I'm clicking Taunt or Encore into this team, or even some shit like Torment, this matchup can get very tricky very quick for Mac. Now, I will say, he's playing Syracuse this last week, and we know he's been struggling a little bit this season. And Syracuse's team doesn't have that much of a defensive profile, and it also doesn't answer fire types very well. So stuff like Heatran's going to be strong, Darkrai is going to be strong, the Hydrapple should be strong. Palafin's going to struggle into the Woger a little bit. Woger plus Tusk plus Kyurem is going to be hard to find a set that'll help it reliably deal with all 3 of those. But I think he'll be able to find a way.
Yeah, I'm not worried about Mac for week 8.
Yeah.
There's a pretty decent chance that Mac is able to jump to the 2 or the 3 seed. I'll be curious to see who
can he jump
they
to the
want
2?
to.
Oh, I guess he can.
Yeah, it kind of depends on you and if he wins big enough. But
yeah,
I'm curious to see who he wants to pick for playoffs. I hate this, Soaring, that you've done this, but allowing the 1 seed to pick any of the 2 through 4, I loathe that.
Yeah,
but I don't imagine B-Boop is looking at Mac's team and being like, maybe actually B-Boop loves playing with the fat teams, and this could be just a match made in heaven. But I would expect Mac to have their choice of a handful of teams.
It's a rarity when the one usually picks 2, 3, or 4. It's usually like a personal thing or like a meme thing, but it's nice to have the option, I guess. They usually pick,
Mac, I know you're watching this. If Blasphemous picks you, bring Terra Poison Apple. Trust me.
And Blasphemous, if you're watching this, shut your ears for the last 30 seconds.
What do we call that? The Terra Poison Apple game? There's got to be like a Snow White reference that we could make.
Something like that.
I
don't know.
We'll get there.
Yeah. We'll get there. PR team is cooking. Don't worry. With that, I think we can move on to our number 3 team.
Oh my gosh.
It's me. Basically, weeks 4 and 5, I lost to good players, good teams. But since then, since I got the new team, the Meowscarada, I haven't dropped a game. I've won the last 2, and they were pretty convincing. Even though they weren't like big wins, I was pretty comfortably in control the whole game. London Lunalas, the Meowscarada really was popping off there. It got like 3 kills at the end of the game with Banded Sucker Punch. Cherry Hill Bellsprouts. That game convinced me that Okidogi Hearthflame is actually a lot better. Like, honestly, leagues better than base Orgerpon Teal. Like, the fact that they're in the same tier is crazy to me. That, let me tell you, that's not going to stand next season. That's not going to happen. And then this next week, I play the Milton Keynes Miladies, which is a tough matchup. It's going to be a tough game for both of us. I don't really think either one of us is like favored strictly on matchup, but it's definitely going to be an interesting one for sure. I'm locked for playoffs, and honestly, I don't really think there's that much else to say about it. Do you have anything to say about this, Jarv?
No, we talked about it a bit in the Milton Keynes section. The Dawn getting a win of varying size would be significant in terms of seeding for playoffs if they're able to pick an opponent. Yeah, I think taking the corpse of Kuma's team and morphing it into your own is I don't know. I'm not salty about it, but I'm kind of like, ew, Dawn.
Okay, at least I didn't get like a Valiant for free or something. Cough, cough. What almost happened with Kowtow.
Yeah, I wonder if that's ever happened in PBO this season. Go check out the other power rankings.
I wonder if it's ever happened. Maybe twice.
Sydney, add this to the cinematic movie about PBO at the end of the season.
The nail at you or something.
Yeah, and anyways, I definitely like this team. I think there's just a lot of synergy. Like, this team is like Synergy the team. Everything is very clearly focused on funneling things to a Mew end game, and like the stats viewer shows that pretty well. Mew's got 14 kills. Nothing else on my team has more than 4. Which, to be fair, I did drop some guys, so those numbers are a little bit skewed. But still, the Mew is like the cornerstone of the team, and it's going crazy. But I think there's not a whole lot to say here, so we'll just move on to our number 2 team, the Alabama Alakazams. Not what?
Shouts out Ben.
Alabama Feraligatrs. I apologize. Sorry, I am too Ben-pilled. Terra Drill. Turns out that guy's pretty good. He's got 12 kills, 4 deaths, played 7 games. He's only lost 1 game, and it was to Mac, and it was there was hacks apparently. I don't remember what the hacks was. But if your only loss is to hacks, you join the league, you come in, win every game except for 1. That's nasty. This is a team to keep your eye on, people. As much as it pains me to say, not because I have anything against blue, but I think weather is cringe. I don't want to see another weather dub in PBO. It would be bad for the Dawn stocks.
Bad for the brand.
Bad for the brand. But like, blue's been playing really well. I know he also wasn't a huge fan of the team because he took over for someone who like drafted round 1 Terra Moth with Sand. And he was like, man, there's just nothing left on this board. And so me and a couple other people were helping him out in a prep server, finding him some stuff. And he ended up coming out with this. And he's definitely been doing very well with it. He's been leveraging the Excadrill really well. That's like what the team is built for. The Skarmory will chip things down with spikes and helmets. Sand chip will do it for T-Tar. Not really much sand chip. It doesn't matter that much because it's an Excadrill. Hisuian Samurott chips things down. Latios will, I guess it weakens steals, but like Excadrill doesn't care about those guys. Blaziken is good. Well, okay, it's not good. It's Blaziken, but like it's doing what it has to do on these teams. It's weakening things for an Excadrill end game. But overall, right now, if the Week 8 game were to be input, Blue Fusion would be our number 2 seed. But since that's not the case yet, and there are 2 other people that haven't played their Week 8 games that could replace him as the number 2 seed, basically Blue Fusion could be as low as 4 by the end of the week. But his performance has been so good this season, like since joining, that I think putting him below myself or Mac would be kind of disingenuous. So basically, even if his diff isn't that high compared to like me or Mac, his performance has still been fantastic. I'm interested to see who he would pick in playoffs if he does remain the number 2 seed. What do you think, Jared? What do you think about the team, the scenario, all of it?
Just touching on the Blue Mac game, pretty back and forth. There was a sequence where a Terra Ice Excadrill SD'd at like 69% HP and got crit jet punched by the Palafin. Don't know if they would have been able to win. I don't know if there were enough sand turns left. But definitely would have been like, a 1-0 or, either way. Has been playing very well. Who would I expect Blue to pick? I think I'm a prime candidate. I think Big Dave is a prime candidate if he gets in. I wouldn't be shocked if Dreary Lane is the candidate. Like they have like the Keldeo, but that like he's loved playing with the Latios, and that's kind of a bit of Latios food. There are a number of teams I think Blue has a good matchup into. I think Blue is playing pretty confidently and would be willing to go toe to toe with pretty much anyone on the board.
Okay. Yeah, I think Blue's definitely got a good chance of taking it all right now. Honestly, I think the team you might have like the worst matchup into might be Blasphemous, who we're going to talk about in a second here. Spoiler alert. But like, I think Sand kind of struggles to break through like Corv, Gligar, Cryo. Maybe not. I know. Looking at it now, maybe Sand does have a good chance here.
Yeah, because you get the hazard down. The chip is really nice against the Gren.
Yeah, I was just, I don't know. I think Gligar's going to be tough to actually get through for Excadrill, I think.
Yeah.
Which is a crazy thing to say, Gligar checking the top thing on the team, but
I'd expect it to be like a guard game or like a Comfey game.
Maybe Comfey, maybe, yeah. I don't know, it'd be tough. Well, Gren's like really good into sand, and like the water resists are phenomenal on Blue's team. Like you have Quillfish, you have Decidueye. Okay, they're not bad. You have Latios too, and Hisuian Samurott. So we
I don't know if you tear the Gren. I'd expect you to
Terra fighting or something. I don't know. It doesn't really help with the Latios, but you just Dark Pulse that anyways. I don't know. You can do Fairy. You can do a bunch of stuff. But yeah, with that, we're going to move on to our number 1 team. We've been talking about it. The whole power rankings. It's the Blasphemous Blacephalons. Went 7-1. He already played his last game against Shadow. He won.
+20.
Only game he lost was to Cherry Hill, which honestly he probably shouldn't have lost. But apparently he was bringing troll sets, which is like whatever. People bring troll sets once in a while, but he's locked number 1 seed at this point because he's the only one that was able to go 7-1. So that means he's going to get his first. He's going to pick whoever he wants to play against. And I'm going to tell everyone watching at this point, if you're listening to this point, Terra Poison guys are really good into this team. The poison resists are Corviknight and Sneasler and Garg. And like these guys kind of struggle. There's also Gligar, but like those guys all kind of struggle to actually hit poison types. So basically, if you can position it right, or if like the Gligar doesn't come, which I think the Gligar's actually come to, Gligar's come to 4 games, so like it probably might come. So like be wary. This guy will bring any of his Pokemon. Actually, wow, if you look at the stats viewer, this is crazy. Every Mon on his team, except for Cryogonal, has come to at least 3 games. Actually, no, Arbolive has come to 2, Cryo's come to 2. But like these games are spread really evenly. And this is crazy. Gouging only came to 3, Sneasler to 3, Corviknight to 3. It's like he's got a mission to get all these guys out there evenly. Which is like
still has them on like up at the top of the leaderboard.
Yeah. Still has him on up towards the top of the leaderboard, and is number 1. Like this is crazy. It just goes to show how like this is another one of those unorthodox things. Like people in Sunset have been playing very non-standard this season, and it's been paying off. Like they've been winning games. So maybe in case you haven't heard, the meta's dead. That's it. The doctors called it. 9:26 p.m. standard time, or Central Time, 9/5/2025. The meta's dead. This is what's in charge now. But yeah, like out of the teams that Blasphemous could pick, I really don't know which he has the best matchup into.
Might be Dreary Lane.
maybe Dreary Lane. Are there any he beat particular? He did 6-0 Mac. He might pick Mac.
He might pick Mac.
A 6-0 is a pretty confident thing to pick.
But it is a completely different Mac team.
True. Yeah, it's true.
But I think you look at Blacephalons, like Mons, he loves the fat Mons, and then you compare them to all of Mac's fat Mons. I think Blacephalons are just better. You know?
I don't know about that. I feel like Hippo and Mandibuzz are a really difficult to break combo, especially when your ice type is Cryogonal.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Especially because Mandibuzz can throw around Toxics pretty free. I guess you can't Toxic Garganacl, you can't Toxic Corviknight. Hippowdon can definitely get up to some sneaky stuff against this team. But yeah, I don't want to predict the matchups too much. Blasphemous, this is our number 1 team. This is the one to look out for. This is the one who's got all that weight on his shoulders to take home his second chip. You got anything else you want to add, Jarv?
Just going to ask, who do you expect to be in the finals, and do you have a favorite?
Who would I expect to be in the finals?
You can say you.
I don't know. It really depends on like who picks me and stuff, I think. But if I'm like trying to remove all my hype around me, I think Blasphemous has beaten most of these guys. Actually, no, he hasn't beaten most of these guys. He's beaten Mac, he's beaten me, he's beaten Shadow. That is 3 out of 7 potential opponents. He hasn't played Blue, hasn't played you. He just played Helsinki, right? Oh no, that was Shadow. No, so he hasn't played Helsinki.
He's had the second easiest schedule of all of Sunset. Blue has had the easiest schedule, but Blasphemous.
Yeah, and they're 1 and 2. Who would have thought? But yeah, okay, that's a different conversation. Because good teams are always going to have weaker schedules, just because of math. But yeah, in finals, I think if they end up on opposite sides of the bracket, it's Blue Fusion versus Blacephalons. If they're not on opposite sides of the bracket, though, well, I guess they are going to be if they don't pick each other, huh?
I mean, assuming Blue comes second, you know.
Oh yeah, true. I forgot about that. Which he probably won't because both me and Mac losing our game seems unlikely.
Right.
So if he even comes third, which is like the most likely outcome, then
he'd be on the other side of the bracket.
Then they'd be on the same side of the bracket. No, they wouldn't because it's 1 and 4, 2 and 3. Yeah. So yeah, they'd still be on the other side of the bracket. So the only way he would be on the same side as Blacephalons is if Blacephalons picks him, or B, both Mac and I win week 8, which means that that is something that can happen. It's a likely outcome. So if that happens, then I think it's them. But if Blue and Blasphemous are on the same side of the bracket, then that means I'm on the other side. And low key, I think I could make it to finals if that's the case. But I have a bad track record against Sand, so I really don't want to play against Blue. I'd rather do the rematch against Blasphemous than go against Blue Fusion.
Unless Blasphemous picks you, and then Blue is the other match on that side of the bracket, and then it's just like a
dude. That would be
a group of death.
Awful for me. Yeah. Why are you spelling out worst possible scenario?
Oh my God. Mac is just coasting.
Yeah, by the way, Don, you're going to have to play quarterfinals against the number 1 seed, semis against the 2nd seed. Okay, but the good news is if I beat those 2, it doesn't get any harder than that.
Yeah, there's no Toronto Star Raptors lurking behind.
I don't want to think about it, man. I don't know. anyways, we're just rambling at this point. Thank you for watching the Sunset Power Rankings. Yeah, we got a lot of interesting games to keep your eyes open for. Stay on the lookout.
If the finals is Mad Mac versus Shadow, it was supposed to be, man. That's all I gotta say. They go back to games, I guess, and nothing changes.
Oh, something changes, all right. Because Orange is coming down.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Jarv, who you got? Really quick. Who you got? Finals. Who you got?
It's hard to
you
say.
And Don? You and
It's
Don,
hard
you
to
win?
say that
Is that what you're gonna
Blasphemous
say?
won't be there because Blasphemous is 7-1.
Yeah.
I am still a Shadow believer.
Okay.
I'm gonna say it's gonna be 2 of the 3 of Blasphemous, Shadow, and Dawn. My silent hope is that Dawn loses early so he can stay down here in Sunset with me.
And we'll
Okay,
see.
but also let's frame this real quick, Jarv. If it's you and me in finals, that is the ultimate Lutang clan victory. It doesn't get any better than that.
Look, I only want to meet you in finals if Kuma gets promoted with us to
No.
Stargazer upon
You
his
would never
return.
agree to that.
No, it's not
Kuma
happening.
for Sunset, unless Jarv makes finals.
With Dawn.
Then it's Kuma for Stargazer with Dawn. If I'm playing my semifinals match second to that, if Dawn loses, I can also lose, but in like a dramatic fashion with like funky throw sets that like I want to make work. I'm bringing 3 mods with cussed up Destiny Bond. You heard it here first.
No.
And we'll see y'all for playoffs.